Hi everyone, welcome to our Primary 7 Term 3 video for literacy. In this video we will be focusing more specifically on the process of proofreading, editing and upleveling the text we have created. The reason we've decided to focus in on this is because it seems to be the next step or target that continues to pop up across all Primary 7s in all writing. We are really trying to build this skill and ingrain it as an independent habit in our Primary 7s. The idea is that they should be viewing this process almost as an entirely new task from the planning and writing process itself. Our literacy learning video from Term 2 goes into some more detail about these parts of the process if you would like to have a look back at that before continuing. In Primary 7, we are looking to be working within Standard 7 in the Oxford Writing Scale. Standard 7 is made up of 22 different features and skills, and by the end of this term, we are ideally looking to have achieved around half of these. As you can see, the majority of these possible marks are quite general in the basic skill of writing. For example, can use paragraphs consistently and appropriately, or features related to the accurate use of punctuation. It is skills such as these that we are looking for pupils to be consistently applying across all their work. And these skills would be checked in the proofreading and editing process, which we'll go through in just a moment. There are features that pupils can find a little more challenging to assess within their work, and these are the ones which relate to the upleveling process. Skills such as applying a range of conjunctions and openers, or using literary features such as similes and metaphors. We're often seeing pupils stuck in the mindset that a page full of writing equals a complete piece of writing, and through time this becomes a barrier to progressing and improving because the focus is solely on achieving a certain number of words or getting to the end of a page, rather than the quality of that work. So when we're asking pupils to go back, check and edit, they are without thinking seeing a page full of writing in their jotter or on their laptop and iPad and thinking, yep, I'm finished. So we're going to go through a step-by-step example of what the process of proofreading, editing and upleveling looks like. Recently, one of our writing pieces was centred around the concept of imagine you're stuck inside a snow globe. Here is an example of a piece of writing that a Primary 7 may initially produce, and always the first thing we should be doing is reading it back over. Once it's read over, pupils are encouraged to evaluate their writing using the CUPS checklist. CUPS is an acronym for Capitals, Understanding, Punctuation and Spelling. These 4 things make up the proofreading process, and by following these steps we make sure we're working towards achieving those features of our standards that involve the writing being technically accurate. Thinking about the CUPS checklist then, we can see that this piece of writing doesn't have too many technical errors. The capitals are there, it overall makes sense and it has appropriate punctuation. The only thing would be a couple of spelling errors. We can also see that this piece of writing has been typed, and pupils that are using digital technologies such as a laptop or an iPad should be building confidence with using the relevant tools such as the integrated spell checker. We do appreciate that it can be quite hard for pupils to identify their own errors and that these won't always be picked up simply by proofreading. This here is an app called Read and Write and it's available on the pupils' iPads in school. Pupils simply upload a picture of their writing, the app scans it into a document and it should be able to quickly identify spelling and grammar errors. This also works with handwritten writing too. The app also has other features such as reading the writing aloud, which can also help pupils check their clarity. The app is available at home through the general app store. The free version does have limited features and it's definitely not the solution to all challenges, but even the basic tools can be a massive help. Now moving on to the up-leveling stage, and as mentioned before, this can be the part that pupils show less confidence with. It's crucial that we continue to work on this to ensure that we're working towards the features in our standards, which relate to the overall quality of our writing. For up-leveling, we refer to the ARMS checklist, ARMS standing for Add, Remove, Move and Swap. So the first stage of ARMS is add words or sentences to enhance. At this stage, it can still be tricky for pupils to know what to add. We view our work as a finished piece because it makes sense and there's no technical errors, so that must mean there's nothing to change. At this point, we encourage a look back at our success criteria checklist for the specific piece of writing. These are useful as a reminder of what we're looking for in the current genre and provide pupils with almost a step-by-step of what should be included. First one here we can see for our imaginative text, we should have described the setting and atmosphere using descriptive language, and then in particular a focus on using the 5 senses. If we focus in on just the first part of the checklist, describing the setting and atmosphere, we can see how this short paragraph can easily be up-leveled and expanded to create a higher quality and more ambitious opening to our story. I'm sort of just noting down parts here that I think would particularly benefit from more description. pupils are encouraged to do the same at this stage. This first part, for example, I'm thinking perhaps I can add a feeling in here. When I woke up, was I scared, shocked, curious? I've put a star at the house because I feel I could add more description for my reader to be able to visualise the house. I have said small, but that doesn't add too much. Another star I've put at the mention of a glass ceiling because this does sound intriguing, I've just not provided enough. Maybe I could add a simile. Another thing I'm noticing is that my sentences all seem to start with quite similar openers. There's lots of I's and it's, and it makes my writing just sound a little bit robotic to read. Maybe it would be a good idea to change and vary some of these to give it a better flow and capture my reader more. After identifying the parts that would benefit from improving and up-levelling, the next question is of course, how? Pupils are provided with a range of materials and strategies to support them in doing so. One support that is quite well used by pupils is our interactive wall displays. Here we have a collection of what we call synonym fries, and this is where pupils can come and pick out vocabulary to improve their writing. We have vocab related to feelings, such as euphoric, low-spirited. We've got other ways to say said, such as declared or announced, and alternatives to describing something as good or bad. We then also have our Make It Pop VCOP station. This is the same idea, the purpose is still to improve our writing, but it provides alternative VCOP options for vocabulary, connectives, openers, and punctuation. To show the end result of going through this process and using the available strategies, here is a piece that's been up-levelled. Immediately you could tell by a glance that we've got a wider range of openers, my sentence structure is more varied, and overall the quality of description has improved. Without going into every detail, we can see the bits I picked out from before. That opening sentence about waking up, it just needed a bit more oomph. Here we've got I woke up with a shock, only to find myself trapped in a snow globe, confusion washed over me. The house we had in the first version is still involved. I've changed small to tiny, but I've also added the visual sense by describing its chimney puffing out smoke. These are all just small alterations which really focus in on immersing our reader. So, summing up and moving on to consider how we can further support this learning at home. Now, this part involves perhaps the most significant support strategy, that being reading. So much of our vocabulary is learned and inspired by things that we've read in other places. It also gives us a taster of different genres and writing styles. Pupils who are keen or frequent readers tend to enjoy writing more because it's an opportunity to apply their imagination and extend or adapt stories that they have been inspired by. We do appreciate that this can be a huge challenge nowadays, but by encouraging reading for enjoyment, this does not necessarily mean reading a novel a week. It can be as simple as looking at pieces of writing we see in everyday life, focusing more on the language used. News reports or match reports from a recent game, for example, look at the language used to describe these. Even adverts, things that they've been influenced by and therefore want, quite often it's the language used within these that make it appealing. You will rarely see an advert promote a new chocolate bar or skincare product by calling it good. This carries on nicely to our next step, which would be promoting writing for enjoyment. If we're thinking about adverts that have persuaded them, for example, you could go a step further and ask your child to write you a persuasive piece on why they should have something. Even something as simple as looking a little bit deeper into song lyrics and the word choice in these. Could they make up their own song that was catchy for others? More and more we are seeing the impact of technology coming into people's writing. If they do have a phone, encourage them to turn off spell checker or autocorrect for a while and have a look at how their messages compare, just as a little experiment. This goes for verbally too. Pupils write as they speak, and so where possible, it's important that we're promoting correct grammar in conversations. Thank you for listening. We hope this has been useful in providing an insight into our writing in Primary 7.